So for this lesson, we're going to review some things about the unit circle. What you should remember about the unit circle is that it has the equation x squared plus y squared equals 1. And I have a radius of 1. Remember that sine is opposite over hypotenuse, so it's y over 1 or just y. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, so it is x over 1 or just x. These are things that we know from the unit circle earlier. Now we're going to apply the Pythagorean theorem because I have a right triangle, and anytime I have a right triangle, I can use the Pythagorean theorem. So I have a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Remember that your hypotenuse always has to be c. So I have x squared plus y squared equals 1 squared, which is the equation of our unit circle. But I know that x and y are sine and cosine. So this is really cosine theta squared plus sine theta squared equals 1. And this is our Pythagorean identity. Now, with a trig function, when we write it, we normally put our squared in between the cosine and the theta. So it's going to be cosine squared theta plus sine squared theta equals 1. Because you don't want to get confused about squaring the theta or the angle measure. You just want to make sure that we're squaring the overall function. So given cosine theta equals 3 over 5 and tangent of theta is less than 0, use the Pythagorean identities to find the value of sine theta. So if I'm looking to use the Pythagorean identities, that means I'm using cosine squared theta plus sine squared theta equals 1. So if I know that tangent is less than 0, what do I know? Well, right now, I know that cosine theta is a positive number, which means that x is positive. Let's put the positive in the front. So I have a positive cosine theta, which means I have a positive x. On my coordinate plane, these are my different quadrants. So if I have a positive x, that means I cannot be in quadrant 2 or quadrant 3. I must be in quadrant 1 or 4. Tangent, remember, is y over x. So in quadrant 1, y over x would be a positive, and in quadrant 2, it would be a negative y over x, which would be a negative. They're telling me that tangent theta is less than 0, so that means I need a tangent that's negative. So that means I have to be in quadrant 4. I have to be in quadrant 4, which means that I'm looking for sine, which is y, so my overall answer is going to be negative. So let's use cosine squared plus sine squared theta equals 1. I'm going to just rewrite it over here since I have all those other notes. Cosine squared theta plus sine squared theta equals 1. I know that cosine theta is 3/5. I don't know what sine theta is. I'm going to replace it with an x because whenever we're looking for something, we label it with x. In your calculator, you're going to put in 3 over 5 squared. Make sure to use the alpha y equals for your fraction. We should get 9 over 25. I need to solve for x, so I'm going to subtract 9 over 25 on both sides. I'm going to get x squared equals 16 over 25. Square root both sides. We always get a plus and a minus. This is something you can actually put right in your calculator. It will give you 4/5. How do you determine positive or negative? We said in the beginning that it was a negative because I'm in quadrant 4. And sine is negative. So sine of theta is equal to -4/5 using my Pythagorean theorem for quadrant 4.